Chapter 15. Third-person POV. In the heart of a vast, unknown forest, where the canopy above stretched endlessly, filtering soft beams of sunlight, two figures sat beneath an ancient tree, its roots winding like a web across the earth. The air was still, save for the gentle whisper of leaves swaying in the occasional breeze. This part of the world felt untouched by time, silent, serene, and hidden from the rest of existence. Beneath the sprawling branches of the old tree, the boy leaned back against the rough bark, his platinum-silver hair shimmering faintly with hints of violet under the dappled sunlight. His golden eyes, sharp yet calm, gazed out at the forest's depths, their reflections catching glimpses of the world beyond the trees, perhaps even thoughts of distant stars. His expression held the weight of countless moments, yet here, in this tranquil place, he seemed unburdened, softened by the presence beside him. Resting gently on his shoulder was a girl, her long, raven black hair cascading like silk over them both, shimmering in the soft light as if the strands themselves held stories untold. Her breathing was slow and peaceful, her delicate face turned slightly toward him, eyes closed as if in a dream, content and at peace. The quiet between them was not the awkward kind, but rather, the kind that existed between souls who knew one another deeply where no words were needed, and the silence itself spoke volumes. The boy shifted slightly, careful not to disturb her. His gaze, though distant, softened whenever it landed on her. His hand, resting in the grass, moved an inch closer to hers, fingertips brushing against her skin. Her fingers instinctively responded, curling gently into his, though her eyes remained closed. A slight smile played on her lips as if she could sense the warmth, the closeness, even in her slumber. Around them, the forest seemed to hold its breath, as if it, too, was aware of the delicate harmony between the two. Birds chirped faintly in the distance, and the occasional rustle of leaves painted a symphony of quiet nature. Above, shafts of light filtered through the dense foliage, casting a golden glow that made everything appear ethereal, as though the world itself had paused to witness this moment. In that timeless space, the world outside ceased to matter. No past, no future, only the present existed for them, and it was enough. Every now and then, the boy glanced down at her, as if to ensure she was still there, her head gently resting on his shoulder, her body leaning into his as if seeking his warmth. His golden eyes, usually so fierce, now softened, filled with a kind of affection that words could never capture. For her part, even in sleep, she seemed to sense his presence. She breathed deeply, her chest rising and falling in a slow, rhythmic pattern. Her face, framed by her waist-length hair, bore an expression of pure contentment. She was safe here, in this small slice of the world, leaning against him, surrounded by the quiet beauty of the forest. As the light shifted and the shadows lengthened, time seemed to bend around them, moments stretching into eternity. The boy closed his eyes for a moment, taking in the sensation of the world around him, of her beside him. In this quiet, shared solitude, there was something profound, an unspoken bond, deep and unwavering. It was in this simplicity, this peaceful moment beneath the trees, that they found something eternal. Rimuru POV. It's strange how much has changed over the years. Chloe and I have become somewhat famous now, the A-rank adventurer couple, they call us. We're known for taking on tough jobs together, from eliminating dangerous monsters to protecting entire towns. People talk about us, and it's weird, to say the least, being seen as some kind of duo that everyone admires. But it's not like I hate it. Honestly, Chloe and I have grown so close that sometimes I wonder if people see us as more than just partners in battle. The way we act now, yeah, I guess you could say we're almost like a couple. As I sit under this massive tree, I think about all the things we've been through. We've visited places I'd never even imagined before, countries with strange customs, ruins that held long-forgotten secrets, and villages with simple people who looked at us like heroes. We've been part of so many different adventures that sometimes I forget how far we've come. A few years back, Hinata's consciousness started to fade. I couldn't just let her disappear, so I put her into a sleep state inside Chloe's body. She's still there, resting, while Chloe carries on. And then, there's Shizu. She got summoned. Her story is something that always sticks with me. Before she was summoned into this world, she lived through one of the darkest periods in her world's history, World War II. She was just 8 years old when the bombing of Tokyo happened, and it left her badly burned. That's when she was pulled into this world, summoned by Leon Cromwell. At first, Leon saw her as nothing more than a failed summoning attempt, someone who didn't matter because she wasn't Chloe. But Shizu's will to live, her plea for help, made him reconsider. Instead of letting her die from her injuries and the rampaging magicules in her body, Leon summoned the flame giant, Ifrit, and had him possess her. It was the only thing keeping her alive at the time, though it tied her to flames and gave her powers she never asked for. That's how she became Shizue, Leon's aide and bodyguard. But the real turning point came when Chronoa attacked Leon's castle. Leon fled, but left Shizue behind as the rear guard. Shizue thought he was throwing her away, abandoning her, but that wasn't it. Leon actually hoped that the chosen hero would take Shizue with them. And that's exactly what happened. Shizue fought Hinata, who was controlling Chloe's body at the time, and when Ifrit's power ran out, Hinata took her in and mentored her. She gave her the anti-magic mask to help control Ifrit's will, and in time, Shizue grew into the powerful adventurer everyone came to know, the Conqueror of Flames. Shizue went on to become one of the founders of the Free Guild, working to expand the Adventurer Cooperation Union. She left her mark on this world in ways most people can only dream of. When Chloe and Shizue reunited recently, it was a powerful moment, and I was off visiting Veldora at the time. I had been filling him in on all the crazy adventures I'd had, telling him about some of the jobs Chloe and I had taken on. Veldora was his usual self, excited, demanding stories, wanting to know every little detail about my life as an adventurer. I told him about the monsters we'd defeated, the treasures we'd found, the ridiculous amount of trouble we'd gotten into, and how things had been going with Chloe. Of course, he teased me endlessly about her, but that's just Veldora. He was bummed out when I told him I couldn't free him yet, but he understood. I think, after a bit of pouting, he went back to his usual self, throwing out ideas for the great adventures we'd have once I finally let him out of his seal. I promised him I'd come back and we'd do something together, but for now, I've still got things to take care of. And now, here we are, Chloe and I, resting under this tree after another mission eliminating monsters near a small village outside Dworgen. I can't help but smile as I look at her sleeping beside me, head resting against my shoulder. She's been through so much, and yet here she is, at peace for once. Her story, like Shizue's, is full of struggles and challenges. And yet, through it all, we've grown closer, stronger, even. We'll be heading to Dworgen soon for supplies and maybe a meal. I've been thinking it might be nice to do something more, maybe a date. Dworgen's got great food and plenty of places to explore, and it's been a while since we've had any time just for us. No missions, no fights. Just the two of us. It sounds nice. As I think about it, Chloe stirs beside me, waking up slowly. Sleep well? I ask, my voice soft. She rubs her eyes and nods, a small smile playing on her lips. Yeah, thanks. I stand up, offering her my hand to help her to her feet. We should get going. Dworgen's not far, and we can grab something to eat. Chloe takes my hand and rises to her feet, giving me a knowing look. As we start walking toward Dworgen, the excitement starts to build. After everything we've been through, a day to just enjoy each other's company sounds perfect. The sun is just beginning to set by the time we arrive in Dworgen. The streets are busy, filled with merchants, travelers, and adventurers. The smell of grilled meat and fresh bread fills the air, and my stomach growls in anticipation. Chloe walks beside me, her eyes scanning the lively streets, but I can see a hint of curiosity and excitement beneath her usual composed demeanor. There's a place I've been meaning to try, I say casually, leading her down a quieter street. We arrive at a cozy tavern tucked away from the main square. The atmosphere is warm, with soft lighting and the smell of cooking food filling the air. We find a table near the window, and I order a couple of their signature dishes. As we wait for our meal, the tension from the past few days starts to melt away. Chloe looks relaxed, her usual guarded expression softening as she takes in the surroundings. I can't help but smile at the sight. I don't think we've had time to just enjoy ourselves like this in a while, I say, leaning back in my chair. Feels kind of nice, doesn't it? Chloe nods, her lips curling into a small smile. It does. We've been so busy lately, it's good to take a break. Our food arrives shortly after grilled meats, fresh bread, and a savory stew. The flavors are rich and satisfying, a reminder of how much we've missed these simple pleasures. As we eat, we talk about everything and nothing, the places we've been, the people we've met, and the adventures we've had. It's easy, comfortable, the weight of the world seems distant, at least for tonight. At one point, Chloe glances out the window at the setting sun, a thoughtful expression on her face. Do you ever think about what comes next? She asks quietly. I pause, thinking over her question. Yeah, sometimes. But for now, I'm just happy with how things are. We've got each other, and that's enough. She looks at me, her gaze soft but intense. Yeah, it is. For a moment, we just sit there, letting the words hang in the air. There's something unspoken between us, but it doesn't need to be said. We both feel it. After finishing our meal, we take a slow walk back through the streets of Dworgen, the city glowing in the soft light of the street lamps. Chloe walks closer to me than usual, and without thinking, I slip my hand into hers. She doesn't pull away. Instead, she tightens her grip, and we continue walking together, side by side. It's a quiet moment, but one filled with a warmth that lingers between us. For once, we're not just adventurers on a mission. We're simply two people, enjoying the night, and each other's company. And that's enough. For now. Time passes, and soon we find ourselves walking through the bustling streets of Anglasia. The sun casts a warm, golden glow over the cobblestone roads, and the air is alive with the sound of people going about their day. Chloe and I are headed to the Adventurers Guild for a new mission. It's a routine that's become familiar to us over the years. Find a job, complete it, then move on to the next one. But today, something feels different. As we walk, Chloe suddenly stops. She's staring at something, her gaze fixed on a shop window. I follow her eyes and see what's caught her attention: a necklace. It's a beautiful silver piece, shaped like a dragon in flight, delicate yet fierce in its design. I tilt my head, looking between her and the necklace. You want that necklace? I ask. Chloe hesitates for a moment, then gives a small, almost shy nod. I don't waste any time. We step into the shop, and without a second thought, I buy the necklace for her. She looks at me, wide-eyed, as I take it out of the box and gently place it around her neck. The silver dragon glints against her skin, and for a moment, the world feels still, as if this small act carries more weight than either of us expected. Are you sure about this? She asks, her voice soft and uncertain. I smile, my tone light. Why not? It's not like we don't have money or anything. She laughs at that, the sound light and genuine, and I can't help but feel a warmth spread through my chest. Her smile, framed by the necklace, is something I want to see more often. After that, we leave the shop and continue toward the guild. But as we near the entrance, something shifts. My steps falter, and I stop abruptly, my eyes widening. A wave of dread washes over me, so thick and suffocating. This aura, it's massive, terrifying, a darkness so deep it feels like it could swallow the entire city whole. It rivals Guy Crimson's power, but there's something else, something unsettlingly familiar. Chloe's reaction mirrors mine, her expression just as shocked as she turns toward me, her eyes wide with surprise. Without wasting a moment, I scoop her up into a princess carry, spreading my dragon wings in one fluid motion. Chloe's face flushes in surprise, but she quickly wraps her arms around my neck, holding on tightly as we take to the skies. My mind races as we fly toward the source of the aura. What is happening? Who could it be? And why does this presence feel so disturbingly familiar? The wind whips past us as I push myself to fly faster, Chloe pressed securely against me. Despite the storm of emotions running through me, I can't help but feel her warmth, the steady rhythm of her heartbeat against my chest. But now isn't the time to focus on that. My thoughts zero in on the aura, my instincts screaming that something is very wrong. I grit my teeth, my mind a flurry of questions. What the hell is going on? Why is this familiar presence here? As I flew towards the source of the terrifying aura, I quickly realized it was coming from the direction of the kingdom of Filtwood, a small nation on the outskirts of the Great Jura Forest. My mood soured instantly. Filtwood was a place I'd rather forget, and for good reason. A few months ago, Chloe and I had taken a mission to protect a group of merchants from that very kingdom. They regularly traveled to Anglasia for business and, after completing their deals, always requested protection from the guild to escort them back. Seemed like a routine job at first, until those merchants started acting inappropriately toward Chloe. They tried to flirt with her, and worse, some even attempted to touch her. Naturally, I put a stop to it before they could lay a finger on her, but the real problem came when I filed a complaint. Neither the merchants nor their king took me seriously. They just laughed it off, dismissing my concerns as if Chloe was just another pretty face to be ogled. I was beyond furious at the time. Honestly, if Chloe hadn't stopped me, I might have obliterated the entire kingdom right then and there. But she calmed me down, and I let it go reluctantly. Now, as we near Filtwood, the sight before us leaves me speechless. The kingdom, or what's left of it, is in utter ruin. More than half of it has been reduced to rubble, obliterated beyond recognition. Buildings are shattered, the ground scorched, and there's no sign of life except for one lone figure standing amidst the destruction. As soon as the figure spots me, it moves with blinding speed, appearing directly in front of me in an instant. I tense, preparing for a fight, but instead, the figure drops to one knee and bows. Kufufufufu, I congratulate you, my lord, on your return, he says, his voice dripping with reverence. I deeply apologize for not living up to your expectations. I stare at him, completely shocked. My lord, what in the world is going on here? I slowly release Chloe from my arms, setting her gently down beside me. She stands there, her eyes wide with a mix of confusion and caution, ready for whatever might happen next. I turn my full attention to the kneeling figure before me. He keeps his gaze fixed downward, as if awaiting punishment, his posture one of complete subservience. What the hell is going on here? I demand, my voice sharp. He raises his head slightly, his eyes still cast downward, but his smile remains. I had hoped to greet you under more favorable circumstances, my lord. But I encountered opposition while attempting to clear the path for your future greatness. My mind reels. Opposition? He destroyed half a kingdom, Filtwood, of all places, and now he's talking about it like it's nothing. This isn't how things were supposed to go, I thought. Before I can gather my thoughts, another presence makes itself known. The sky darkens, and a wave of demonic energy approaches, one that I immediately recognize. In the blink of an eye, Guy Crimson appears, landing near us with a heavy thud. His expression is as sharp as the aura surrounding him. Well, looks like I arrived just in time for the party, Guy says, his red eyes locking onto the figure in front of me. It's been a long time. I should have known you were behind this mess. His voice is laced with both amusement and irritation. I groan inwardly. Great, just what I needed Guy showing up too. This situation is about to become a massive headache. As Guy Crimson lands nearby, his eyes taking in the scene of destruction. His aura is as overwhelming as ever, but this time it's tinged with curiosity and annoyance. He walks over, a grin on his face, but there's a sharp edge to his smile. Rimuru, Guy greets me with a smirk, crossing his arms over his chest. Looks like you've been busy. I roll my eyes. Trust me, Guy, this wasn't me. I just got here. Guy's gaze shifts to the kneeling figure, and his grin fades into something more serious. I thought you were staying out of this world's affairs. What's got you so riled up? Parson stands, his voice smooth. I only seek to serve my lord, the one destined for greatness. Guy raises an eyebrow, glancing at me. Your lord, huh, so this is about him. He smirks, folding his arms. You always did have a thing for causing trouble in the underworld. But now, you're bringing it up here too. I sigh, pinching the bridge of my nose. This is definitely going to be more complicated than I thought. Guy, and the destruction of an entire kingdom. What the hell is going on? But one thing's for sure, this situation is going to be more of a headache than I thought. Chloe's pav. As we strolled through the bustling streets of Anglacia, I felt a familiar sense of peace. The air was lively with people chatting and merchants calling out their wares. Walking beside Rimuru always had a way of calming my thoughts. It had been years since we started traveling together, and by now, I'd gotten used to these quiet moments in the city before our missions. But then, something caught my eye. I stopped, almost without thinking, and stared at the shop window to my right. There, resting on a small velvet stand, was a silver necklace shaped like a dragon. The intricate design was delicate yet fierce, with its silver scales glinting in the afternoon light. For some reason, I couldn't look away. What's up? Rimuru asked, noticing that I had stopped. I didn't respond right away, but I felt him glance at the necklace too. You want that necklace? He asked casually. I blinked, feeling my cheeks warm slightly. I hadn't really thought about it, but now that he mentioned it, I kind of did want it. Before I could say anything, Rimuru grabbed my hand and pulled me into the shop, his usual carefree attitude making me smile. We didn't need to say much to each other these days. He bought the necklace without hesitation, and as we stepped outside the shop, he gently placed it around my neck. His hands were steady, and I tried to ignore the way my heart sped up slightly as he fastened the clasp. It wasn't a big deal, I knew that. We'd been through so much together, but still, moments like these caught me off guard. Are you sure about this? I asked quietly, my fingers brushing over the cool silver. Rimuru just grinned. Why not? It's not like we're short on money or anything. I couldn't help but smile at his nonchalant reply. That was just like him, always so relaxed about everything. I nodded, feeling the warmth of the gesture more than the weight of the necklace itself. It was a small thing, but it meant something to me. We continued on toward the guild, ready to take on another mission, but suddenly, Rimuru stopped in his tracks. His expression changed instantly, his eyes widening in shock. I followed his gaze, sensing it to a massive, overwhelming aura. It was terrifying and dark, radiating power. My breath caught in my throat as I turned to Rimuru, whose face had hardened. There was no time to speak or react. Before I knew it, Rimuru had scooped me up in his arms, carrying me effortlessly in a princess hold. The sudden movement flustered me, and I instinctively wrapped my arms around his neck for balance. Rimuru, I started to protest, but my voice faltered. He wasn't even looking at me, his focus was entirely on the direction of the aura. I could tell his mind was racing, a mixture of confusion and urgency flashing in his eyes. We took to the skies, Rimuru spreading his wings as he flew swiftly toward the source of the power. The familiar feeling of his aura surrounded me, but this time, it was different, tense, controlled, but with an edge of apprehension. I held on tightly, my heart pounding, but not from fear of the flight. What was happening? Who was behind this aura? I glanced up at Rimuru, his jaw clenched, and his eyes darkened with intensity. He hadn't said anything yet, but I knew him well enough to sense that whatever we were flying toward was far more serious than just another mission. As we neared the kingdom of Filtwood, I felt a sinking dread. I didn't like that kingdom, neither of us did. The memory of those merchants trying to flirt with me flashed through my mind, their hands too close for comfort, their words disgusting. Rimuru had been furious. If I hadn't stopped him back then, he might have destroyed the entire kingdom. I didn't blame him, they deserved it. But now, as we got closer, I saw it. Or rather, what was left of it. Filtwood was in ruins. Half of the kingdom was obliterated, the buildings crushed, and the air smelled of smoke and ash. It was worse than I could have imagined. My breath caught in my throat. As my eyes swept over the destruction, my heart sinking with the weight of the devastation. And then I saw him. A single figure stood in the center of the ruins, completely unfazed by the destruction around him. His aura was overwhelming, pressing down on me like a physical weight. But before I could even process what I was seeing, the figure noticed us and moved faster than I could follow. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of us, dropping to one knee. Kufufufufu, I congratulate you, my lord, on your return. His voice was smooth, almost musical, and filled with reverence. I blinked in shock, my gaze shifting from the kneeling figure to Rimuru. What was going on, my lord? Why was he speaking to Rimuru like that? I deeply apologize for not living up to your expectations, my lord, the figure continued, his head bowed, completely at Rimuru's mercy. Rimuru gently set me down, his expression as confused as mine, though he hid it better. I stood by his side, my hand instinctively reaching for my sword. My eyes were fixed on the man in front of us, trying to make sense of the situation. Rimuru's shock was palpable. This was clearly unexpected, even for him. What the hell is going on here? Rimuru demanded, his voice sharp. The figure finally looked up, though his eyes remained lowered. I had hoped to greet you under more favorable circumstances, my lord. But I encountered resistance while clearing the way for your future greatness. The weight of his words hit me like a punch to the gut. Future greatness? What was he talking about? The more he spoke, the more questions I had, and none of them had answers. And this is the first time anything happened like this in all time loop I have experienced. Before I could say anything, another presence made itself known, an all too familiar one. My heart skipped a beat as I felt the demonic energy approaching. There was only one person with an aura like that. Guy Crimson. He landed with his usual flair, his red eyes scanning the destruction before settling on the kneeling figure. His expression was unreadable, but his voice was laced with amusement and irritation. Well, looks like I arrived just in time for the party. I shot a glance at Rimuru, who groaned under his breath. This was only going to get worse. Before the destruction of the kingdom of Filtwood, somewhere deep within the underworld, a figure stood in silence, watching intently as an image shimmered inside a glowing blue crystal. The crystal, no larger than a palm, pulsed with faint light, reflecting the scene of merchants in Filtwood sneering and laughing, their faces full of arrogance. A dangerous chuckle escaped the figure's lips, his amusement laced with malice. Kufufufufu, how dare they disrespect my lord, he muttered darkly, his voice dripping with venom. As the memory and the crystal replayed their dismissive laughter, the figure's aura began to flare, filling the dark chamber with suffocating power. His black hair, streaked with deep red and gold, shimmered ominously under the glow of the crystal. His golden eyes burned with red pupils and black sclerae, glowing in the dim light with seething rage. He was dressed impeccably, his clothing reminiscent of royal attire, tailored to perfection like that of a prince. His aura, once contained, now burst forth violently, shaking the space around him. He clenched the crystal tighter, his eyes narrowing as his emotions reached their peak. His mind was set on vengeance. To be continued.